Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Functional Longevity Podcast, where we give you insight on how to get fit, feel younger, live better. I'm your host, Chris Borda, best-selling author and owner of Y.E.S Fitness. Let me first take a moment to thank you for taking time from your busy day to listen to what I have to say. Before we also get started, I'd like to thank my sponsor, Y.E.S Fitness. Most people lose the ability to enjoy life as they age. At Y.E.S Fitness, we help people age 40 plus get fit so they can live longer and enjoy those extra years doing the things they love to do. Some quick housekeeping here. If you want to get a timestamp or a transcript of today's broadcast, head on over to yesfitnessct.com. Across the top, you'll see buttons for podcasts. Click on that, and it'll give you access to any one of our now 394 episodes. You can also get this broadcast wherever podcast can be found. Boost your longevity with particular supplements. If you're training, eating well, and still dealing with low energy, brain fog, or stubborn blood sugar issues, that's usually not a motivation problem. It's a cellular one. As we age, mitochondrial function slows, metabolic control slip, and recovery takes longer. That's why I use Particular. Their NMN supports cellular energy production. Resveratrol helps protect heart and brain health. Berberine improves blood sugar control and metabolic flexibility, all critical for healthy aging after 40. These are clean, science-backed supplements made right here in the USA, and I personally notice better energy, focus, and recovery. If you want your body to respond again, visit Particular.com. That's Particular.com, and use the code YESFitness15 for 15% off. This surprising cognitive breakthrough that fasting unlocks after 40. Let's talk about something that's been getting a lot of attention lately and a lot of criticism: intermittent fasting. You've probably seen the headlines. It doesn't work. It's no better than a regular diet. It's overhyped. And if you're just looking for weight loss alone, these headlines aren't entirely wrong. But they are missing the bigger picture, because what I want to show you today is this. Fasting is not just about weight loss. It's about how your body and your brain responds to stress. And when you understand that, everything changes. The study everyone is talking about and misunderstanding. A recent meta-analysis concluded that intermittent fasting is no more effective for weight loss than standard dietary approaches when calories are matched. And honestly, that's exactly what we would expect, because weight loss comes down to energy balance. If calories are the same, results will be similar. But here's where most people stop thinking. They hear same weight loss and assume no benefit. That's a mistake, because fasting is not just a calorie strategy. It's a physiological strategy. And why fasting works differently for most people is fasting is simply easier. Instead of tracking every calorie, you just control when you eat. That alone can help people create a calorie deficit more consistently. But again, that's just the surface. Where fasting really separates itself is what happens inside your body. Your body is designed to run on two primary fuels: glucose from carbohydrates and fat from ketones. Most people today, they live almost entirely on glucose mode. Always fed, always eating, always burning sugar. But when you fast, you flip what researchers call a metabolic switch. Instead of relying on glucose, your body starts metabolizing fat and producing ketones. And that's where things get interesting. Ketones are not just fuel, they're signals. Ketones do more than just provide energy. They act as a signaling molecule that influence your brain and your cells. Research shows they can increase brain-derived neurotrophic factor, BDNF, improve neural resilience, activate antioxidant pathways, reduce inflammation, promote autophagy, which is cellular cleanup. This is not theory. This is well documented in both human and animal research. So when people say, I feel sharper when I fast, that's not a placebo, it's physiology. Now let's look at a really important study led by Mark Mattson. This one focused on older adults with insulin resistance. So right in the wheelhouse of what we care about here at Y.E.S Fitness. They compared two groups over 8 weeks, a 5-to-2 intermittent fasting protocol and daily healthy diet. Here's what matters. The fasting group created a larger energy deficit, about 28% reduction in calories, compared to 13% in the healthy diet group. And importantly, only the fasting group showed increased ketone levels, meaning they entered that distinct metabolic state we just talked about. What happened to their bodies? Well, both groups improved. Body composition improved, insulin resistance improved, blood markers improved. But here's the key point. Most of those improvements were similar between groups. So again, if you only look at metabolic health, you might say fasting isn't special. But now let's look at the brain. What happens to the brain? Both groups showed improvements in brain glucose metabolism, neural insulin sensitivity, and brain aging markers. In fact, brain aging slowed by about 2.5 years in just 8 weeks. That's powerful. But here's where fasting stood out. When researchers looked at higher level cognitive function, things like strategic thinking, planning, and cognitive flexibility, the fasting group pulled ahead. These improvements showed up specifically in executive function composite sources, fluency, and task switching ability. And those are not just small things. That's your ability to make decisions, stay sharp under pressure, adapt quickly, solve problems. That's real world brain function. Memory results were mixed, but still very interesting. Both groups improved memory overall, but fasting showed an edge in short delay recall and long delay cued recall, meaning fasting may help you retain and retrieve information more effectively over time. Again, not dramatically different, but directionally meaningful. And a really interesting finding in women. One of the more surprising things, women showed stronger improvements in executive function while fasting, while men improved in both groups. Now, this is exploratory. We don't overinterpret this, but it suggests something important. There may be individual differences in how people respond to fasting. And that reinforces something I say all the time. There is no one size fits all approach. Why this matters after 40? Well, as we age, several things happen. Insulin sensitivity declines, metabolic flexibility decreases, brain energy metabolism becomes less efficient. And that's where fasting can be powerful because it reintroduces something most people are missing: metabolic stress. Not chronic stress, but controlled intermittent stress. And that's what drives adaptation. This is hormesis in action. The body doesn't get stronger by avoiding stress. It gets stronger by adapting to it. Fasting is a form of hormesis, a small, manageable stress that triggers a positive response. Just like strength training, sprinting, cold exposure, fasting challenges your system, and your body responds by becoming more efficient. But let's be clear, fasting is not magic. This is important. Fasting is not inherently superior. It's a tool. And like any tool, it depends on how you use it, because fasting can go wrong. And when fasting becomes a problem, well, if you undereat protein, don't fuel your training, and cut calories too aggressively, you can lose muscle, reduce performance, and disrupt hormones. But that's not a fasting problem. That's a nutrition problem. And I see this all the time. Fasting and strength can coexist. You can absolutely build muscle, maintain strength, and improve performance while fasting, but only if total calories are sufficient and your protein intake is adequate and training is structured properly. This is where most people get it wrong. So here's the real takeaway. When you hear intermittent fasting doesn't work, you need to say, work for what? Because if the goal is pure weight loss, it's similar to other diets. Metabolic health, similar to improvements. For cognitive performance, fasting may have an edge. Sustainability, often easier for many people. And that's a very different conversation. Here's how I look at fasting with clients. If it helps you eat less without feeling restricted, stay consistent, feel mentally sharper, improve energy regulation, it's a great tool. If it causes low energy, poor training performance, constant hunger, loss of muscle, then it's not the right tool for you. So fasting is not about restriction. It's about creating the right environment for your body to adapt. It's about flipping the metabolic switch. It's about reintroducing a stimulus that your body has designed to handle, but most importantly, never experience anymore. And when you do that, you're not just changing your weight, you're changing how your body and brain function. And that's what functional longevity is all about. If you found this episode helpful, share it with someone who wants to stay strong, sharp, and independent as they age. And remember, the goal is not just to live longer. The goal is to live better. Keep training, keep moving. I'm Chris Borda, and this is the Functional Longevity Podcast. And I will see you next time with more information on how to get fit, feel younger, and